Hi, everybody. So excited today to have one of our very first stay-at-home gala participants in here, Darcel Moro. She is with the Port Coquitlam Community Foundations, and our second and our national stay-at-home gala was one of the early people to jump on board for kind of this crazy idea to go on a big fundraising campaign and do this big virtual event and really uncharted territories on May the 2nd. So thank you so much for joining us today, Darcel.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So today we just want to kind of hear a little bit about what happened. How did you discover us? How did we get to where we were?
Oh, okay. Well, the way we started was we had heard about, or I had heard about what you did with the Okanagan group with the State Home Gala, and at the same time, Port Coquitlam is part of the Tri-Cities on the coast here in British Columbia, and Coquitlam and Port Moody Foundations are also part of that Tri-Cities. So we were getting together trying to figure out what we could do as a Tri-Cities to raise funds for COVID relief. And so I said, well, why don't we do this stay-at-home gala? And they said, what's that? What's that? And thought, okay, well, maybe let's do it. And that's how it all got started. So it's the first time the three foundations have actually collaborated together. And it was a huge success. People I meet now still are talking about what a great job it was and what fantastic it was. I mean, it was a great experience all around. Our community really came together. I mean, we were so lucky because this whole idea of a virtual event was so new to everybody, and isolating from everybody was so new. We had like the handful of amazing event planners in the Tri-Cities, all volunteered their time. Like, we didn't pay, aside from paying for the webinar thing from Zoom, that was it. Everybody else volunteered their time, and it worked out really well. And you know, one thing we learned about that is don't be afraid to ask, because everybody was on board. And really, I think the community, there was so much bad news at the beginning of it, like, oh my gosh, what's happening? This was something to lift everybody up. So it was great from that perspective.
Yeah, I think, you know, it was so interesting to be in the middle of all of this or at the start of it, really. And, you know, the idea to do a virtual gala seemed crazy. And as it just kept going, it kept seeing more and more people jump into it. And, you know, I remember a lot of sleepless nights for that first round when we had no.
Oh yeah, I'm there with you on that one. Yeah. And you know, and the bottom line is we wouldn't have been able to do that without the platform that you guys set up and the guidance that you gave it. And I know you guys were flying by the seat of your pants sometimes too, because it was so new to bring it out to so many people at once. But it was very helpful for us. And anytime we asked for help, we got the help. And you know, it was a great platform for us to be able to do that again. And we're talking about doing a new one, or some kind of version of a virtual gala in the new year. And certainly we will be back for sure.
It's exciting. I know that our volunteer committee has gone back and forth on talking about a 1-year reunion again. And
oh gosh.
We'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll have to cut this out of the footage later on, but
yeah, right. Right. Yeah. I think the big thing is though too, I mean, I know the first one was done in like a week or less than a week or just over a week, or we had a couple weeks to do ours, but it was still nonstop. And I was the chair, so I was just directing people. And my background is event planning, so I knew how to direct people around, whereas all the event planners just took it and ran with it. And Heidi from Port Moody Foundation is great with donor outreach or sponsor outreach, and same with Lisa, was very connected with the business.
Oh, I'm not sure. We might be having some technical difficulties here. So we are back with Darcel. Slight internet jam up, so everything's going smooth. But you know, you were kind of talking about I'm trying to remember what you were talking about now.
I know, I can't remember either.
But it was a crazy time back then, and just figuring it all out. And admittedly, we've got a lot of that figured out now, and have done this many more times since then. But what was your biggest fear going into it?
Well, how would we get the entertainment? Like, how could we fill up that amount of time? And it ended up we had to start turning away people. You know, that was there were so many people who heard about it and wanted to be part of it, and yeah, it that was part of it. And then just also, okay, selling tickets, right? We wanted people to join. We simplified ours. We advertised restaurants that did takeout delivery. We didn't do that food portion of it. I've seen different versions of that from people now moving forward, that we might want to consider doing that moving forward. But just because the Tri-Cities was a big area, and you know, how we were supposed to choose, and in 2 weeks we didn't have that opportunity, so we didn't do that part of it. So selling tickets was the big thing, getting some sponsors to help cover some of the costs. And then it came, and as I said, the event planners that helped us were phenomenal. Everything from the I think we made about 10,000 on the silent auction alone. Yeah. Like the stuff we got, and that was partially too because the different business associations helped us out with that as well in getting donations. So it worked out really well.
Well, it sounds like partnerships is a really big thing for you guys. How did you, like, were these pre-existing relationships? Were these new?
So the three community foundations, as I talked about before, collaborated on it. And so we reached out to people we knew that we've worked with, and then they reached out to people that they knew. And and some of it was just cold calling, like our event producer, like the event planner, Grace, who was Grace Choi, who did the run of show and everything. I'd never met her. I knew about her, and never worked with her before. Called her up, and she was more than happy to help out. So you know, and then she brought in other people because of her contacts and stuff. And so that just worked out from that perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, we've taken a lot of inspiration from what you guys did with your broadcast, because it was, and now it's almost exclusive. We recommend like TV personalities, radio, like people that are familiar, because it's not just an emceeing role anymore. It's changed a little bit. Now you're actually an anchor that's running the show and participating. But
yeah, and we were lucky to have Steve Darling, who is one of our local counselors, but also used to be on Global TV. So he was great, and he worked with the chair of our Mike Hine from the Chamber of Commerce, local Chamber of Commerce. So they had that banter back and forth, and it just, we wanted it really to be uplifting and really celebrate our community and how our community does come together to help people out. And this was a prime example of how our community came together. We were an unknown entity. Most people don't know who the community foundations are. That's one thing we're trying to really work on. So we had the support of all the other different charities that supported us and helped get the word out. So it was really the community coming together.
Yeah. Has this changed your mind on the virtual events? Do you see a lasting future for them?
So I've always worked virtually for work, so I was used to that. I think they have a role to play for sure. But I'm going to just say this, that you can't beat face to face. So yeah. I wouldn't want to replace face to face with it. But when it becomes too cumbersome to have that face to face event, it certainly plays a really great role. It shows that it can be entertaining and it can be fun to do, and you can still interact with other people while you're doing it. So I think there's room for both.
Yeah. Did you, you know, the process of going in, you guys were very, very successful with your fundraising. Like, I know that asking people is the big thing, but it just seemed like you guys were snowballing on a whole new level of having that support come in and having those. What was their response like when you asked?
Most people wanted to help, with whether they could or not. I mean, we were also helped because we got some grant money that came at the same time. So we put it in the pot of all this from the Vancouver Foundation.
Yeah.
So that helped us. So just seeing that number go up also encourages other people to donate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually we just had a meeting this afternoon, if you can believe it, because it's such a long process of us. I mean, even though we gave out the money really quickly, that we raised money for COVID relief in our community. That's the reason why we raised this money. So we gave out the money quite quickly, but we haven't let everybody know. So that we were just talking about that today before I was on the call with you. I was about, okay, we need to get it up on a website, tell everybody who we helped support with the money that we raised, because it is significant. Food security was a big one from our foundation, and so it really made a difference to our community.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because I think charities and a lot of businesses that do good, I find they do it for the right reason, and then that whole telling people what they did often is forgotten, because you get so busy doing more things, and
Yeah.
it's hard to spend that time sharing those stories, but it's so important.
Celebrating the successes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, the big two questions that we always have is would you refer us to other people to go in and to do a stay-at-home gala with us?
Well, I can answer that easily because I have referred you, and people have used you for other for their galas. So for sure. Yeah. I mean, I know it was very new when we did it with you guys, and how responsive you were with that just showed me that you were going to align the processes more, so it would just be an easier process as you came through.
Yeah, it was really interesting in the first one. Say, yep, we're good. Friday. I remember sending an email out, and we had shared, it was the pre-email to all the attendees. And I was literally, I could see people logging in and doing it, like as I'm changing things and like writing out the last bit, people are logging in and seeing that.
Yeah.
We've learned a lot.
Yeah, there's certainly, I don't know whether you have a page for that, because I haven't actually gone on your page, but a page for best practices, like having a backup to communicate with people if something goes wrong, like right before, and which was our issue. If we didn't have one of the business associations helping us out, that's how we got the login information out to everybody, because there were some problems the morning of, I think, with getting that information out. So the people out there didn't really know, but it's that whole duck thing, smooth on the surface, padding like crazy underneath.
Yeah, we've it's funny now talking with them. So I guess as an update, our process, most of our clients now we work with, we help them design the event. So we meet up, figure that, what their organization is, how do we create something really, really fun, really engaging, what does sponsorship look like, and just make sure that they're really set up and that the event sounds great and the packages look great. And we take over and make sure that the live stream goes smooth, and prep all the speakers and things, but and we manage the live stream and take that on, and we.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's our gig now. Is most people just because they're terrified of the live stream.
And see, we were lucky because we had that contact with Steve Darling. He had producers who could do that for us. So we had another person in the background doing that.
Yeah.
We had, Grace and her and Carly who were running the show, and then and they would talk to him, and we had a pretty smooth behind the scenes. We were pretty smooth running event for sure.
Yeah. Well, now, it's even things like we create a group chat between the organization, the MC, and the technology team. We've got producers on our team now as well to make sure that everything's set up. And it's like that chat is just like closely guarded. And you're like, okay, is everything going smooth? That chat is quiet. All things are good. There's just new challenges. Having done events for a number of years, these are new.
Yeah. And what I would say to other organizations, if you've never done it before, you just got to go for it. Because if you don't try it, and you just got to take that chance, make it fun, make it entertaining. And that's the whole part about virtual stuff. And live events too. Sometimes things go wrong. You have to kind of laugh about it. Okay, let's move on to the next thing, So, yeah.
How
and I must say the sound was better than we thought it was going to be.
Oh, really?
The musicians. Yeah, we were worried about that.
because we even had a live band that was outside, Hicklestock, and their sound was great. Like all the sound, pretty much all the sound was very, very good. So
yeah, it's really impressive what technology has been able to bridge the gap, and even then, new tech and new, knowing how to prep people to have the sound correct. I know our first one, we had some sound issues, and yeah, it's impressive what technology can do now. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So maybe just as a kind of a final question of like, how big of an impact did this make to the operations and to, the funds? Like, I think, what was the total funds that you guys ended up raising through yours?
Oh, you're going to ask me that question. I don't have it on the top of my head. If we count the grants that we got from Vancouver Foundation, it was around 100, just shy of 100 grand. Yeah. So we each had just around between 40 and 50,000 to give out, approximately around that. There were some expenses that had to come out of that. So yeah, I think beyond the money, well, first off, the money was huge because it was the start of getting funding to help out charities and nonprofits in our community from the effect of COVID, which has been huge. Food security, mental health, just operating, all those things needed to help with a lot of the charities. So that was the ball that got it rolling for sure. And as far as from a foundation point of view, it opened our world to not only collaborating with the other foundations, but collaborating with all the charities. Because our foundation specifically is very young, very new, and we had this small pot of people that we knew, and it's just blew it open. The relationships and how we were able to help people put their budgets together to get some funding and all that kind of stuff. It has been a huge benefit for us, for sure.
Awesome. Well, those are kind of my big questions for the day, but I really, really thank you for taking the time, and even bigger thanks for that giant leap of faith at the start of it. And who would have thought that it would kind of kick off to where it is now? But any closing comments, thoughts, anything that you would share with anybody who's watching this and thinking about coming in and chatting with us?
Yeah, I just say, as I said before, just go for it. It's a great opportunity. It was a wonderful experience, and your team has their heart in the right place. They're heart centered, and so you'll get the big bang for your buck, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Darcel. It's been a real pleasure all the way along, and today as well. So really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. All right, bye.
Bye now.